Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and berries, here it is, me, Bradley G. in Fridley, Minnesota. And here we are at Synergy Cafe. Synergy, where 1 plus 1 equals 11. And today I've got a friend of mine that I do some other events with, and he's a hypnotist, therapeutic type. And his name is Joshua Peters. He's in the green room right now enjoying some of our local digital hors d'oeuvres. So I'm going to go over there and get him. If you want to hang on a sec, I'll bring him back and we'll get the show on the road. There he is, the man, the legend. How you doing, everybody?
Good morning, MagicBrad. It's awesome to be here.
So are you in Edina right now or in St. Paul?
I am in St. Paul enjoying my Synergy tea. My Synergy tea.
They have those kombucha things, Synergy.
Yeah, I have those in my house a lot.
Do you know what the word synergy means?
I think that it means working together, or like synergy seems to me like a way of bringing together different things in a way that is like a teamwork or something like that.
Kinda. When I thought of calling all this stuff synergy, I didn't realize so many people didn't quite understand it. But basically, it means that the sum is greater than that of the equal parts. So 1 plus 1 does not equal 2.
That's why 1 plus 1 equals 11.
Correct.
Got it.
And that's what the synergy collaborative is all about. When two people work together on the same goal, it amplifies it. So I might have to start doing some videos on that so people know what synergy actually is. I've got a definition on some of my web pages and stuff, but some people don't know what it is. But it's synchronized energy is what I call it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does. So let's talk about you. I think I got some little graphic things up here. Nothing pornographic, but just graphic. That's all about you, Joshua. Dun, dun, dun. And for those that don't know, Josh was a local, but I'll bet he does some online type of work too. Is that true that you work with clients online?
It is true. I work with clients all over the country. There
you go. See, I'm not your average idiot. I'm above that.
The above
average idiot. So hypnosis, I know that a lot of times people see that and they think, oh my God, you're getting me under control. Like I do that to my wife sometimes. I say, you're under my hypnosis. And she goes, stop doing that. She's afraid that I'm controlling her, but that's not what it is. It's not like you see in the cartoons where the guy's zapping out the people and they walk like they're zombies, right? It's not that.
It is not that. That's true. I like to think of it like, so there's a lot of people have a lot of expectations or ideas around hypnosis, as you just described. And I will often the best way to think about this is to remove the word hypnosis entirely and replace it with the word trance. And the reason that I say that is most of what I really do is I help you break out of the non-resourceful trance that you're in, whether that's anxiety or fear or insecurity or whatever it is, and help you get into the trance state that you want to be in.
Right.
And hypnosis is a form of trance. It's like a relaxed, focused state where you now have access to your inner strengths and abilities that you don't always feel you have access to.
Right. Do you know the name Paul Sheely?
No.
He's a local guy here, and he's a brain guy. He does a real cool presentation where he gets people up and they put hats on that represent different parts of the emotions.
Yeah.
In the left side brain. It's very cool. But he talks about that in his programs, that we are in a trance right now. It's a matter of breaking out of that trance, because you get up in the morning. What do? You make your coffee, you get in the car, you go to work, you punch in, you're in that trance. Or if you've ever I was in California once driving, and I'm driving along just enjoying the scenery. All of a sudden I see Las Vegas, 300 miles. I thought, what the hell am I doing? Why am I going down this highway? Because I was in a trance.
Absolutely.
If someone's in a trance, say, the situation I'm going through right now, I'm going through some worthiness issues. And as you know, I'm going on to Costa Rica to deal with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
that's kind of what you do through hypnosis, get them in a different trance of maybe you are enough.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that most people really need to hear
Yeah.
is that they are enough, that they're worthy, that they're all those things. When the thing is, like, there have been times in your life when you felt worthy, when you felt confident, when you felt enough. And so a lot of what I can help you with is to revivify those moments, to feel that again. And there's some ways that you can then strengthen that. And in hypnosis world, we have a term called anchoring.
Yeah.
So you probably heard of that before. So anchoring is a way of attaching a feeling to a oftentimes a movement. So it might be like squeezing a finger and a thumb together. That's a pretty common one. And so we'll find that positive trance state, that state of consciousness, and then attach it to squeezing your finger and thumb together, so that when you need that later, you can do this action and boom, that feeling comes up.
Instantly.
It's like attached to memories often.
Instantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
More
had
or
a
less.
situation where what I did is I anchored confidence into myself. And what you do is when you do something successful, you're confident. My thing was just grabbing my thumb like this and squeezing it.
Yeah. Perfect.
I was in a meeting at a boardroom with a bunch of these high-end kind of people, and I was
Yeah.
feeling a lacking confidence.
Yeah.
So under the table, I squeezed my finger like this, and I lost it. It was so powerful. As soon as I did that, it was
Boom.
it happened so fast, I just didn't know what I was even thinking anymore.
Yeah. That's a great
Very,
example of how you
very
can use
powerful.
an anchor like that, for
But
sure.
it takes someone like you, because someone like a client, I'm an advocate of coaches, but I think we talked about this before. It's hard for me because I'm a magician, so I see behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
I got cunning linguistics. Stop it.
I think we'll just leave that there.
I like having fun. So what happens is I lost my train of thought with that. See how that works? I got
The anchor.
the anchor. And you need to have someone like you to be able to pick that out. Because that's part of the reason I'm going on this trip to Costa Rica. And because I was sitting on my couch and I started talking to myself.
Yeah.
Asking myself ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't give myself good advice. I give myself old advice that's still in the conscious mind.
Yeah.
Where someone like you can see that, and you will ask a question like, were you ever bit by a dog when you were a kid? And then all of a sudden, oh my God, yeah, I was.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I hate dogs.
Right. And kind of the way that I look at that is, people come to me because of lots of different reasons, but usually they want to do something different than that they're doing now. So they want to take a different kind of an action. And what usually happens, and this happens for me too, is a moment comes up. So say, let's use public speaking as a good example, right? So you have a presentation to give. And for a lot of people, it works like this. Oh, the presentation is coming up next week. As I think about building this presentation, I get really anxious. And so I avoid doing that. And I don't know, scroll Facebook, answer emails, work on a spreadsheet, like anything else,
Right.
except for that one thing. And then the anxiety goes away. Right. So that's an example of how the automatic reaction just happens. So what's going on there though is there's a trigger moment happens, and then there's a feeling that comes up in the body, right? And then we label that, oh, I'm anxious, or I'm afraid, or whatever, I'm insecure, whatever it is. We label that feeling. It's just a feeling, but we label it with meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And then that meaning kind of carries over. What we can do with this work is, one of the ways, like you just described, the dog biting thing, is rather than focus on the meaning, the label that we put on there, you just focus on the feeling in the body, right? So for anxiety, that's often like a tightness in the chest, or your heart is racing, or sweaty hands, or things like that. And we take the meaning away, and we just focus on the feeling. And then you just start to let your mind go a little bit. Like, what are other times where I've felt this feeling before in the past? And different memories will come up. Like, There was this time last week. Oh, there was this time a year ago. Oh, this 10 years ago, this thing happened. Like, oh, when I was 5, this happened. Oh, that was the first time. And then we can shift that memory and resource that younger you, so that that memory that was there, that had all this charge to it, all this energy to it, it just dissipates it. And once you do that, I think of it like dropping a pebble in a pond.
Mhm.
So we drop that pebble in the pond, we shift that one memory, and ripples spread
Right.
across life. So the ripples can go backwards too. Like maybe there was even earlier times that you didn't even think about that. But when you drop that pebble, when you give that younger you those resources, that shifts across your whole life. And
Right.
you come out of that experience then able to handle things differently. So the trigger moment happens. It's time to work on that presentation, and you take a breath, you sit down, and you just decide, I'm excited about this, and this is how it's going to be.
So,
So
like, if you were going to do a presentation, you're all anxious and nervous about it, it's not happening, and then all of a sudden you go to the core of what this issue was. Maybe it was as a second grader in school, and the teacher says, "You sit down and shut up."
something like
That was
that.
a
Yeah,
trigger. So if you can resolve that issue, it's
yeah,
possible that your presentation skills will go up, your people skills will go up, your communication when doing things like this will go up, your dating will go up, your marriage will get better. All of that
absolutely.
stuff.
It's
Yeah,
and you have a good point here. Like, you think that you're going to fix this problem with public speaking, you're actually affecting your whole life, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
sure.
Right? So when
Connect.
you make those adjustments, it literally will affect you often across all those different areas like you just described.
Now, again, giving props to you and other hypnotherapists that do this kind of stuff, is you kind of need to talk with somebody else, like a therapist or somebody that's going to call bullshit, because otherwise it's hard to do this by yourself, because you've got that subconscious mind that's protecting you, your
Mhm.
egoic self or whatever.
Yeah.
It's trying to protect you from that feeling you had, because it was a fight and flight kind of thing. You kind of
It
cowered down and maybe wanted to run
Mhm.
away, whereas you
Right.
can say,
So
you
it
know
is
what, it's just a teacher.
it's interesting because, like, to use your example, the second grader who was told, "Sit down and shut up." So in that moment when those kinds of things happen, we we don't know what's going on. And most of the time it happens even younger than second grade, but
Sure.
it doesn't matter. We'll say stick with the second grade. So that thing happens, and that second grader's like, "That's never happened before. Well, what does this mean?" Well, clearly this means that I don't matter. Okay, now I know. Now, of course, that's not conscious. That's all happening at an underneath place,
Yep.
but you've essentially created a belief about yourself, or sometimes about life. And then we live the rest of our lives sometimes as if the wisdom of a, what's that, an 8-year-old is true.
Hmm.
But it's not true. It's just something that we made up to deal with that situation in the moment, and then started to
Right.
believe it. So this resourcing, this is a chance to kind of go back into that, to fix that, so that that belief doesn't have to be there anymore. So you could imagine how somebody who has a belief that they don't matter or they're not enough, if they can, once they can fix that, how that could reflect across your whole life.
And again, I see the power of being able to do this on a regular basis, because there's multiple things that from conception to 7 years old that have layered on top. Another quick example is my best friend that I knew since doing magic when we were like 4 or 5 years old. I was from an alcoholic family, so mom would say, "Close the damn door," and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Whereas my friend, his dad would come home. He was an exec at Cargill, and he would give Dave a silver dollar.
Okay.
That's the kind of way he got treated. And there was "I love you" at his home, where there
Hmm.
wasn't much of that. There wasn't much loves and hugs.
Sure.
So our lives are totally different.
Yeah.
Even though we had the same neighborhood, the same hanging out, but the moods and stuff. So we were um, molded, I guess might be the term. Programmed is a better term.
Yeah, and not intentionally, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about that too is like you could have had an identical twin who could have gone through all the same experiences that you had, but told himself something different.
Yeah. My
And
interpretation of being scolded is totally different than the
yeah,
twin.
for some people that can help them thrive and
Yeah.
it doesn't affect their lives. And then for that their twin brother, they become an alcoholic, and you can be in the same situation, but you can tell yourself something different. Your whole life can show up different, kind of based on that.
I have a question. When this stuff is resolved, is it resolved forever? Oh,
Excuse me.
I think I just hit a trigger point.
Pardon me there. Have a drinking problem, clearly.
No, it was the word resolved. What's the sensitive issue there, Joshua?
So yes, it is resolved. However, sometimes there are multiple layers to this kind of a thing.
Sure.
So most of the time when I'm working with somebody, we're doing the work in several different ways. Some of them is kind of like I described, where you're literally working with a memory. But then there's other ways, like you described I forgot his name, the fellow who uses the hats and uses different kinds of parts of us, right? Kind of like family. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a family parts, right?
Mhm.
We are made up of different parts too. And as you described, there's that part of us that's trying to keep us safe. So we can work with those parts. That's another way to use hypnosis, is to work with those parts. We can just say direct positive things to you, kind of like affirmations, but very specific to your situation. That's another way. We can also take these changes and pull them into the future, so that now you're imagining yourself going through situations where in the past the old thing would happen, but now something new can happen, something empowering. And as you do that, the thing about the brain is it doesn't know the difference between if something is physically happening in reality or if we are imagining that same thing happening.
Right.
In the brain, the same neurons are firing down the same pathways either way. So when we imagine going through situations differently, we're sending the old neurons from the old pathway down a new pathway. And this is literally how you rewire your brain. This is neuroplasticity. This is neuroscience here. Like, now that we can measure stuff in the brain as we're doing this kind of work, we are getting a much fuller understanding of actually how it works, of the things that are going on in the brain.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing because our brain is like wired together with certain neural pathways and all that stuff. Isn't there like a little thing and there's a little dealy bopper here and the electrons zip through and
Yep.
hey, we're
There's
going through this
the
circuit.
neurons, and then the synapses are the spaces between the neurons where the zapping is happening.
And then that can get short circuited sometime and say, okay, we're going to go this way for a while.
Yeah. So
The brain is plastic and ever changing.
and events happen in our life, right? Like
Yep.
the second grader, or for me, one of my big events was I'm 4 years old. I am staying at my grandma's house overnight. This is the very first time I ever stayed at my grandma's house. I'm super excited. There with my little brother. My mom is having a baby, so that's why we get to stay here. And my grandma, she must be rich because she has this TV in her bedroom. I'd never seen that before. There's a TV in her bedroom. And I wake up, it's Saturday morning. Saturday morning means Saturday morning cartoons.
Woo-hoo!
I'm super excited. I love watching Saturday morning cartoons, and I'm going to watch them in my grandma's room on her TV. And I run into my grandma's room and I jump up on her bed to watch the cartoons. And she says, "Get off the bed." And I don't know what's going on. Nobody's ever been like that to me. And I'm angry. I'm confused. And I decide, well, my needs don't matter. And that sticks with me. That becomes my belief system for 30 years until I start to shift away from that. And it affects me in a lot of different ways. So that's an example of how a moment like that can instantly make a pathway.
Yeah.
Right. So pathways are created by highly emotional experiences, positive or negative. They're created by the experiences that we see the authority figures in our life, like the way that we see our parents act. We pull that in, that becomes, when you're an adult, this is how you act. Repetition is another way that this can happen. So if something just happens over and over and over again, it eventually pummels its way into a pathway. And then hypnosis, of course, is another way to help to shift that.
I like the hypnosis method, reconnecting, because I think once you find the core, it's almost like it's connected to a neuron and all, or what do they call those things?
Synapse.
All of a sudden, it just clicks to a different one, and now it's going through the pathway. Because the same 4 words that your grandma said, she could have said that we're gonna have ice cream. Get off the bed.
Yeah, and it would have been exciting.
It's a
for
whole
sure.
new deal. And you mentioned affirmations. I found a different thing called ask-formations.
Yeah.
Because you do these affirmations and you go, I am healthy. I am losing weight.
Yeah.
And then you look at yourself in the mirror and go, you're not losing weight. I've been going to the gym for a week. I don't see it. But what if you changed it differently and said, why am I healthy? Why am I losing weight? Now your brain says, well, because I want to be healthier and I want to not drag this stuff around with me. And why am I healthier? Because I'm eating better. I'm exercising. Yeah. And now it's you're not calling bullshit on yourself.
Yeah.
I was doing affirmations. I'm a millionaire. And my other side's going, no, you're not. Check your bank account. You're a liar.
Yeah. That is a really good example of of a problem with affirmations, right? If a part of us is like, that is absolutely not true, it's really hard to let it in. Mm-hmm. So I actually have another way that you can soften an affirmation to make it acceptable to the unconscious mind. And it's very, very simple.
Good thing to share to close off. We've gone for 22 minutes now, and I keep them kind of tight. So
okay. So I'll share this one thing and then we'll finish it up. So this is how you trick is not quite the right word, but sneak these affirmations into the unconscious mind. So rather than saying, I am rich, you say, I am becoming rich. I am becoming the kind of person who is a millionaire. I am learning to be a healthy eater, right? So you use words like that, which because then your mind can go, is that true? Well, yes, that's true. I am learning to eat healthy. I am becoming the kind of person who has all the money that I need. I am learning to be confident. That's a really powerful way to, again, I'll use the word sneak that in, but it works really well. I also like the ask-formations, because asking questions really will get your mind going too.
But I see that if you think about being in present moment and you say something like, I am becoming wealthy or I am becoming healthy, then that's what it is. So you never really get there. You just are becoming there. So that's still good because you're getting closer. You're getting close.
I mean, we're always becoming. We're always learning. We're always growing. We're never. There is no destination.
Yes.
Unless I am dead.
Words are a powerful thing. It's interesting. Well, dude, I'm going to put you in the green room. And speaking of healthy food, we've got some more digital hors d'oeuvres back there. My digital assistant went back and swapped everything out from this morning. Good. New stuff. So it's now new and fresh. And you can go back there and enjoy. So I appreciate you taking time to be with us with Xfactor Hypnosis. It's nothing to be afraid of, folks. So thank you again, Joshua. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Brad.
Stick around and we'll talk later. There you got it, my friend Joshua Peters. And it's all about this. Ta-da. Xfactorhypnosis.com. And that's how you get a hold of him. If you want, you can go right directly to the website. And it's probably in the description, too, if you need a hyperlink. Or if you want to type it in yourself, you can just go to that what's that search engine called? Google, I think they call it. So that's my story, Morning Glory. Thanks again for tuning in for Synergy Cafe. Watch for this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Peace, love, and happiness. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Be nice.